Students are getting ready for traveling abroad. Good evening, I'm Cameron Sweeting.
And I'm Jonathan Evans. That story will be brought to you later on in the newscast.
Absentee ballots are now available for the Mississippi Democratic primary. Voters who do not cast their vote in the June 6 election will be able to vote for candidates running for the U.S. Senate and Congress. A total of 89 new electronic voting machines will be used for the June primary. The ballots are available at the Lafayette Circuit Clerk's office. The Circuit Clerk's office will be open on May 27th and June 3rd for voter registration.
The Lafayette County Board of Supervisors has decided to revise their standard agenda procedure. In a meeting Monday, the board voted to include the public comment section as a part of the pre-vote discussions. This allows citizens who have a say on topics being discussed by the board before they vote on each item. Board President Billy Lamb says a lot of people have said they don't want to wait through the whole agenda to say something. The new policy will take effect on the Board of Supervisors meeting on May 15th.
Actor Hal Holbrook will speak to students Thursday at the Fulton Chapel. Holbrook will come back to the Ole Miss campus after his performance of his one-man show Mark Twain Tonight in 1962. The performance was the first time that Ole Miss students were allowed to gather together after the campus was integrated. Holbrook will talk about the relevancy of Mark Twain's writing to contemporary audiences. There will be a question and answer session afterwards, and the event will be held at 3 in the afternoon. Tickets are available at the Central Ticket Office.
More than 30 students and criminal justice officials from around the state will be recognized at the second annual Legal Studies Banquet. They will be recognized for their professional contributions. Legal Studies Chair David McElreath says the event is a way to remind us of the history and the heritage of the programs that came together from the Legal Studies Department. The banquet will take place Friday at the Oxford Conference Center. And journalist Judy Woodruff will deliver the commencement address at the University of Mississippi. Woodruff has been a contributor to PBS and is a former host of CNN's Inside Politics. Her address will focus on the class of 2006, what they have done, where they are headed, and the world they face. Associate Professor of Journalism Curtis Wilkie says she was among one of the first prominent faces of women covering politics and reporting from the White House on television. This year's commencement will take place May 13th at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Well, the weather seems to be looking a little gloomy, but it should clear up before the weekend. When we return, we'll take a look at your complete weather forecast here at NewsWatch just after the break, so stay tuned.
This is Bev. She has breast cancer. This is Caroline. She's had breast cancer.
I remember that.
This is Reach to Recovery.
Hi, Daddy.
A program where breast cancer survivors help women facing breast cancer find courage and inspiration.
It is. And it's real. It's nice to hear you laugh.
This is the American Cancer Society. This is who to call for help.
Good getting out.
My pot of gold, your daddy's little girl till heaven hold.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
You're tuned in to Oxford and Ole Miss's only station for news, weather, and sports coverage. The news you need, local and live. We are NewsWatch, news for North Mississippi.
While traveling abroad, you might want to enjoy yourself without any worries. NewsWatch's Sarah Sinjum has more.
It is the end of another school year and the beginning of summer traveling. Jacob Quinn is a senior Spanish major who is studying abroad this summer. Although this is not the first time traveling out of the country, he has worked for a non-profit organization, traveling to countries such as Nicaragua, Honduras, and Mexico. Quinn does, however, take some precautions while in a foreign country.
But don't, just think it's a good idea to, hand him 20 bucks to go get you, a sandwich, and you'll never see him again. So it's just like keep your guard up. You're in a different country. You're not in your comfort zone. Just beware, be cautious of everything.
Sophomore student Stephen Shaw is traveling abroad in June to Costa Rica, and he has watched safety videos on staying safe and says to be aware at all times.
You gotta be safe, know what you're doing down there, know where you are, be in the right places, don't go to any dangerous places, wander off by yourself. That could lead to some trouble.
Thank you so much, Stephen. That was great. When do you go?
I'm going in June.
Okay.
Yeah, so second session.
That's awesome. Wow. The Study Abroad office, which is located right behind me here in Martindale, says that there are an estimated 600 students that study abroad each year. And while you cannot prepare to keep all those 600 students safe while studying abroad, there are some precautions they can take to keep themselves safe. Study Abroad advisor Vanessa Cook tells students traveling abroad about the importance of always having your passport with you at all times.
As far as traveling outside of the country, we always tell students to make sure to keep their passports in a safe location, and to, when they're traveling, to carry copies with them in case that were to get lost or stolen. That's kind of your first line of defense if something were to happen to you, is to have your passport to show your citizenry.
Remember, while traveling, safety always comes in numbers. For the Student Media Center, I'm Sarah Sinjum.
The Mississippi Department of Human Services are sending 35 Oakley Training School students home in order to ease the student-to-staff ratio. Inadequate staffing at Oakley Training School in Rankin is cited as the cause for 56 student assaults on staff. The school, which houses teenage boys, is authorized for 146 direct care workers. Fewer than 90 positions are filled. In order to comply with the agreed-upon U.S. Department of Justice mandate, the Mississippi DHS will seek to keep a population of 150 students. The training school has also been releasing students close to completing their sentence to help ease the problems. And in other news, evacuees of last year's hurricane will get the first shot at new properties. The properties are owned by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and will be offered for 5 days to hurricane evacuees first. Families living in properties owned by HUD since last year's hurricanes will also have the chance to buy the houses where they have been living. The prices will be 10% below fair market value. HUD expects up to 20,000 properties nationwide to be made available.
5 years after Mississippians voted to keep the 1894 state flag, officials in Washington County are still refusing to fly it. The County Board of Supervisors voted to remove the flag from all its facilities. At the time of the 2001 vote, many residents found the flag offensive, and more voters in Washington County supported the new flag design. Washington County Board of Supervisors president says the removal was the right thing to do.
Many members of the Mississippi National Guard are being recognized with a tax break. A tax exemption passed by the 2006 legislature is said to provide a huge morale boost for members of the Guard. Many members of the National Guard were present Tuesday as Governor Haley Barbour held a ceremonial bill signing at the state capitol. The event was held to recognize the service of about 16,000 National Guard members and other military reservists. The bill increases the amount of military pay that can be exempted from state taxes from $5,000 to $15,000.
The U.S. Air Force is recognizing Meridian's 186th Air Refueling Wing for its achievement. The Mississippi Air National Guard unit has won the Air Force Outstanding Unit Award. It is the third time in 24 years that the unit has won the award. The group has about 1,000 members. For about 2 years, the 186th has deployed more than 70% of the unit's positions to more than 20 countries. They have worked with operations such as Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Noble Eagle. The unit was one of 9 to receive the coveted award. And in other news, Tupelo voters have paved the way for the city's new road projects. Drivers can now expect another 5 years of road improvements. 85% of voters approved to extend a tax-funded road work program. Nearly 2,600 voters hit the polls. This is the highest voter approval percentage in any of the major thoroughfares for elections since it started in 1991. The Major Thoroughfare Committee will now launch a campaign of projects totaling more than $32 million.
Whether it's a day in the Grove or a night on the square, you need to know how to plan your day. Count on the NewsWatch team for your local weather forecast. Oxford's only local weather team on NewsWatch, the news for North Mississippi.
Hello, Oxford. Today we had a beautiful day. The current temperature, right now we're at 83 degrees. Humidity is about 49% and winds are moving south at 10 miles per hour and it feels like 85. If you take a look, you can see, as I said, here in Oxford we're at 83 degrees and in Memphis we're at 84 and at the state capital 84. So pretty mild to mid to high 80s across the state, which is good weather. No rain today, but it looks like it might be moving in for tomorrow. If we take a look at our current conditions, you'll see that we have an occluded front, which is a warm front and a cold front mixed together, that's going to bring those thunderstorms in the southeastern region probably on tomorrow. So you can see that moving our way, so make sure you're aware of that. Bring your umbrellas and your ponchos because you are going to need them tomorrow. On our satellite, you can see that we have a few points of cloudiness, so be aware of that when you're traveling early morning and late night, because fog will be a problem. So just a few spots, not a big deal here in Mississippi. If you look at our radar, we're looking pretty clear. Not much activity today, but like I said, all of that will probably change on tomorrow. You can see that a occluded front will be here in the area, so that means those thunderstorms are most likely to be in the area as well. So make sure you're aware of that and bring your umbrellas, as I said earlier, and your ponchos, because you're probably going to need that. So not much grilling or barbecuing tomorrow. Tomorrow's highs, you'll see that Oxford is going to be at 80 degrees, in Memphis at 79, and at the state capital 86. So kind of hot there in Jackson. So if you're traveling, make sure you're aware of that. And the points of precipitation, it looks like we're going to be 50 to 75% here in Oxford, around the Mississippi area. So like I said, that's most likely going to mean we're going to have that rain here tomorrow. And if you take a look at tonight, you'll see that we are partly cloudy with a low of 66. And if you look at tomorrow, we're going to be with scattered showers and a high of 80. So pretty hot tomorrow, and it's going to be kind of humid as well because we are going to have that rain mixed with that heat. So pretty humid tomorrow. And if you look at the 5-day forecast, you can see, like I said, we're going to have those thunderstorms here tomorrow, as well as a little heat. And then it's going to get pretty on Friday and Saturday. So a beautiful weekend, hopefully.
Well, as soon as all of that rain gets out of here, I will be happy to see a nice sunny sky. It'll be very nice.
Yeah, so that'd be good. Most people barbecue and do things like that on the weekend. So a good weekend and everything, so that'd be great. Ugly day tomorrow, maybe a little bit on Friday, kind of hot. So.
Well, at least we'll be getting some sun sometime soon.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And I think Corey's going to tell us about some sports.
Well, the weather and the Rebel baseball team are hot right now. Stay tuned for Sports Watch, sponsored by Domino's, for baseball and softball scores and an invitation to party with one of Ole Miss's most outstanding teams.
The new XLP is our biggest, most extreme pizza for guys who want to go big.
Hey, Domino's guy, check this out. Oh, whoa. Did you see that? Couple of feet.
Yeah.
Hey, hand over that XLP, bro.
Here you go. You want to rip it up?
I'm good.
Have a good one.
30% more extra largeness than our large. Get a one-topping XLP for a small $9.99. It's the new XLP from Domino's.
Yeah. That's it.
Perfect to be a perfect parent. When you adopt a child from foster care, just being there makes all the difference.
There is a place where a total stranger will give you their blood. A place where someone you never knew will save your child from drowning. where a person who doesn't look like you, talk like you, or dress like you will give you shelter after a flood. That place is called America, where we look out for each other. When you help the American Red Cross, you help America.
Hello, I'm Mary Haskell. Music is the heart and soul of what it means to be human. That's why I'm so proud to do what I do. Did you know that Ole Miss, which is home to the nation's largest blues archives, will soon be the center for the archives of all forms of American music? The University of Mississippi. It's a great American public university.
Missed the score? Want to catch up on your favorite Ole Miss sport? Want to see those highlights? Sports Watch gets inside Ole Miss sports like no other news team. Keep it tuned to News for North Mississippi. Keep it tuned to NewsWatch.
The Ole Miss baseball team is on top of the longest active winning streak in the SEC. Their victory over Nicholls State last night brought them to 11 straight, but it didn't look like they would make it there when the game began. Things started out kind of slow. Top of the second, it's tied at 1. Ted Wilkie grounds it to C.J. Ketchum. Ketchum goes home, but he can't gun down Brett Morin. Nicholls State takes a 2-1 lead, and the Colonels were not finished. Next batter, Patrick Harris, lays down a squeeze bunt. Devin Steib comes in to score, and the Rebels find themselves down 3-1 in the second inning. Skip ahead to the 7th inning now. Nicholls Estate's up 5-3 and adding to it. Keith Delahousse hits a hard shot to Evan Button. Button's not able to handle it. Jose Higuera scores, and the Colonels are up 6-3. Then the next batter, Morin, singles at the middle. Mike Moscato scores. The Rebels are down 7-3 now. That will be the last of the good news for Nicholls State. Here at the bottom of the 7th, the Rebels catch fire. Brett Basham leads things off with an infield single. Luke Barthel comes in to pinch run for Basham. Then Alex Presley walks, and after a Ketchum sack bunt, there are runners at second and third for Chris Coughlin, who promptly singles up the middle. Rebs pull to within 2 at 7-5. That brings Zach Cozart up to the plate as the potential tying run. And he is the man. Cozart ties the ball game with a monster shot that just barely stayed fair, and Ole Miss just kept pouring it on. John Hancock rips a double off the right field wall. Button and Logan Power make their way around to score, and Ole Miss takes their first lead of the game at 9-7. Then in the 8th, the Rebels cap off the offensive output when Mark Wright doubles to deep right field. Cozart and Coughlin cross the plate. The Rebels go up by 4. Then in the 9th, Garrett White shuts down the Colonels. He ends the game by striking out Delahousse as the Rebels put the finishing touches on an undefeated 10-game homestand and their 11th consecutive overall win. What an impressive run, guys. After the game, Cozart talked about the importance of last night's win.
Talk about how big this homestand has been and how big it was to end it the way it ended tonight.
It's always fun when you get to play in front of the home fans for the amount of games that we did, and especially to get start. We got an 11-game winning streak going, and for us to do, I think 10 of those were at home. So it's big for us to start it off on a good note, and it's good for us to end it tonight on a good note so we can go to Kentucky with more confidence.
Now hopefully the 17th ranked Rebels will take this confidence with them to Lexington for the series against the Wildcats. The first game is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. on Friday. And the Ole Miss softball team was on a roll until just last night. The doubleheader against the Birmingham Southern Panthers started out well with senior right-hander Dana Brill in the circle. Her 8 strikeouts held the Panthers to a 2-0 final score and gave Brill her 4th complete game shutout this season. Mary Jane Callahan took over pitching duties for the second game and made it 5 innings without allowing a run. But in the top of the 6th, the Panthers brought 2 home, and the Rebels were never able to overcome it. They made the hits, but they just weren't able to capitalize on the several opportunities when players were on base. In the bottom of the 5th, the bases were loaded, red and blue, with 2 outs remaining, but no one made it home. Birmingham Southern captured the second 2-0 shutout and brought the Rebels to a 22-34 season record. The team will head away from the Ole Miss softball complex for this weekend's very important series at Auburn. Now, the Rebels' performance this weekend against the Tigers will determine whether or not they get to play in the upcoming SEC tournament, so it's kind of important. All right, now I have the perfect sporting event for Ole Miss Rebel fans. Tonight from 7 to 8 o'clock, the Downtown Grill will be hosting the Ole Miss men's tennis team and fans. Party, sports, what more could you ask for? At 7:30, ESPN News will announce the 64 teams invited to participate in this year's NCAA tournament and host sites for the first and second rounds of the tourney. Now, the Rebels are celebrating their 2nd straight SEC West title. Team members Erling Tveit, Eric Kleisen, Bram Tenberg, and Juan Pablo de Cesare were named All-SEC as well. The Rebels are hoping for their 15th NCAA berth and that the Palmer-Solon Tennis Center will make the list as one of the host sites. Now for a little bad news. Well, good, depending on who you're rooting for. The 6 Mississippi State football players charged originally with felony assault on a police officer have made it out of the doghouse. Head coach Sylvester Croom announced that cornerback Derek Pegues, offensive tackle Michael Gates, safety Keith Fitzhugh, quarterback Trey Rutland, and defensive ends Charles Burns and Quentin Wesley will all be allowed to play in the season opener against South Carolina on August 31st. Coach Croom decided not to suspend the players from any of next season's games after the charges were reduced to misdemeanor simple assault. Each player had to pay a $500 fine and received a 6-month suspended sentence. All players were required to attend counseling and sensitivity training as well. Guys, how do you feel about that?
I don't know if it's necessarily good news or bad news, but I wouldn't say it was good news for us if they're allowed to play.
Right, they will be allowed to play, so I don't know if that's good news for us.
Is the NCAA not involved in this? Can they?
Well, actually, it was Coach Croom's decision, I think, to whether or not to suspend the players. They were not able to take part in any of the spring activities. They did not play in the spring game at State. They weren't. I don't know if they were even allowed to practice. So they were suspended indefinitely. They weren't active members of the team. But I guess once those charges were reduced, Coach Croom decided they had definitely put in enough punishment, and that even though the charges were heavy in the beginning, that maybe they should be allowed to play.
Well, they do have a 6-month suspension, so hopefully that'll keep them in line, we think. All right, well, when we come back, we'll tell you about a trailer that contained energy drinks and how it was stolen.
And we'll also tell you about how thieves were able to rob a museum. Stay tuned to NewsWatch.
There are over 200 bones in the body, and we have more than 200 student organizations. Maybe that's why there's not a lazy bone in our student body. Very humorous.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Ray Romano. Did you know that the Sally McDonald Barksdale Honors College at Ole Miss was named by Reader's Digest as one of the top 3 honors programs in the nation? More than 400 students are getting a private college education at public university prices. The University of Mississippi, a great American public university. I went to community college.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Well, it's a magic and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about 3,000. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if I go into sports, what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Fire!
You're tuned in to Oxford and Ole Miss's only station for news, weather, and sports coverage. The news you need, local and live. We are NewsWatch, news for North Mississippi.
In Tennessee, a trailer housing $100,000 worth of Red Bull energy drinks apparently grew wings. A truck driver reported his 53-foot trailer containing almost 3,000 cases of the energy drink was stolen. Jeffrey Winchester says he parked his truck on Old Highway 51.
Officials of the Dyer County Sheriff's Department say another truck may have pulled the trailer away from the truck and hauled the load off. A window in the truck was broken and its satellite tracking system had been disabled. In its commercials, Red Bull claims that, quote, it gives you wings, end quote.
Well, I know I'm not a big fan of Red Bull, but I could definitely use some right now. I'm extremely tired.
Tell me about it. Tell me. I have an even longer night tonight, so I'm playing trombone all over the place, so yeah.
Well, I hope you do very well.
$100,000 worth of Red Bull? Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, in other news, in Italy, a thief disguised as a security guard tricked the unsuspecting staff at an art gallery into giving him more than 200,000 euros. The thief came to one of the best-known museums in Italy, the Pitti Palace, in the security guard's uniform.
The uniform was the same one that is used by employees of the security firm and it picks up the museum's earnings. After the cashier's staff gave the thief the money, he signed the receipt and calmly walked out. The robbery was discovered a half hour later when the real security guards turned up to get the money.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess that's pretty clever, but I am glad they got caught because I think that's a lot of money.
It is. It is. Kind of reminds me of the movie Inside Job. Was it?
Right. Yeah.
Denzel
He
Washington?
just walks straight out the door. It's all clean and everything.
Man.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Well, when we come back, we'll take a final look at your sports and weather.
Stay tuned to your news for North Mississippi.
I'm going next. Can we turn it right away? You gotta do it one. How old is he? Hey.
Alone and crying, boom boom pow. Crying, pom pom pow. Crying, chaka chaka cha. Crying is always good.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There we go.
When you want the latest news, you know where to turn. Bringing you up-to-the-minute reporting, weather, and sports coverage. Working to keep you informed on top of the stories that matter. Team coverage when it counts. Keeping an eye on the sky when weather turns bad. And your one-stop shop for sports scores and highlights. NewsWatch is news for North Mississippi.
And it's about that time. Final look at sports and weather.
Well, with weather, like I said, we're going to have those thunderstorms in the area for tomorrow. So it looks like tonight we're going to be partly cloudy with a low of 66. And on tomorrow, we're going to be a big chance of thunderstorms with a high of 80. And taking a look at the 5-day forecast, you can see the pretty high temperatures for tomorrow with a little rain. And it looks like we're going to have a nice and beautiful weekend. So if you want to barbecue, break out the grill this weekend. That'll be a perfect time to do that.
Nice.
Sounds good. Do you have anything new in sports?
I've got great news. Actually, the baseball team went from unranked to the longest winning streak in the nation. We're at 11. Oh. Now they are also, a national website has projected an RPI of 14 for the upcoming tournament, and they've been projected by RosenblattReport.com as the 11th overall seed. And we may be hosting another regional this summer, which is very exciting.
That is.
So I get to end the semester on some really good news for us. It'll be a good summer if these projections come out right.
Well, saying ending the semester, this is the last news report for Wednesday.
Last time for us. And I think I speak for all of us when I say it's been a pleasure bringing you your news for North Mississippi. I'm Jonathan Evans for Cameron Sweeting, Corey Palmer, and Jessica Coker. Good night.